we have Jill, who is also one of our regional reps, and she's going to talk to us about transcripts, which is probably one of the second most frequent questions that we hear, other than what about socialization. It seems like transcripts are scary and seem much harder to do, more challenging than they really are. So we are here to tell you it doesn't have to be super hard, and Jill's going to give you some of her very best tips on how to make that an easy process.
Thanks, Kathy. It's first and foremost, it's very important to keep good records of your students' classes, their activities, their achievements, anything they do during their high school years. Write everything down. There may be something that you don't think is worthy to go on a transcript when in actuality it is. And so it's just best to write it all down, because if you're like me, you will not remember everything your child did. And your high school transcript is a record of your academic achievements while you're in high school. And so you'll want to begin creating your teens transcript when they're in 9th grade, or actually whenever they complete their first high school level course. But they can vary in their format. And so here's just a list of things that will be on every transcript. First of all, your student's name, their address, and their date of birth. And second of all, the name of your school. So here's a fun family activity. If you haven't done so already, you're going to want to name your homeschool. Ours was just Ottman Academy. I think it might have been actually Ottman Academy of Learning or something like that. But anyway, yeah, whatever you choose, you know, make it be a fun family activity to, everyone gets to put in a name of what they want to call themselves. But you'll have to put the name of your school on your transcript, so you'll need a name. And then you'll also want their grade level and the school year. So an example would be like 9th grade, 2020, 2021. That would be their grade level and school year. It will need to have the course title, and then the grade that they received for each course, and then also the number of credits that they earned for each course. You'll want their GPA, their grade point average, and that will be cumulative as they take courses. You'll add to that. And then any scores that they receive on like an AP exam, which would be an advanced placement exam, or a CLEP exam, maybe the ACT or any other standardized test, those could go on there as well. And then any academic honors that they've received will also go on your transcript. And so, like I said before, homeschooliowa.org, HSLDA are great websites that you can go to find out, or actually even to look at an example of a transcript to help you put these things into place. So, thanks.
Writing a transcript can sound a little bit scary, but there are some things out there that can make it easier. There's a program that I bought years ago that's not sold anymore, but that makes my transcript for me. I plug in the kids' schoolwork every day and their grade. It automatically generates the transcript. It automatically does their GPA. It keeps track of their book reading list and all sorts of things. And I know that there are at least 2 other programs out there that are similar to that. HSLDA had put one out 5 years ago or so. I can't tell you what the name of it is, but if you search for a transcript making program or a record keeping program, there are some out there. There's another one out there that it's the same type of thing where you put everything in there and it generates the transcripts. You can even print a diploma from it also. That one is done like online though. Everything is stored online. So I guess it would depend on what you're comfortable with. The one that I had was a CD, and so everything is stored in my computer. There's no online component to it. The HSLDA one, I haven't looked into it in a while. I'm not sure what the storage was on that, but those are some things that might help you with a transcript so you're not totally making it from scratch.
And I have one last comment. We talked about transcripts, but we didn't really spend any time saying what should go on a transcript. And that would be generally, like, what do my kids need to take in high school? Generally speaking, the colleges want to see 4 years of English. They want to see 2 to 3 or 4 years of science. It depends. If you have a student who's going to be a musician, 2 years of science is probably good enough. If you want one who wants to be an astrophysicist, they probably should reflect 4 years of science. Same way with math. You want 2 to 4 years of math. You would have social studies. Generally, they want 2 years of that. That's history and geography and anthropology and psychology. Those could all fall into the social studies categories. And then there's foreign language. Generally, a school wants to have 2 years of foreign language to enter into the school. Things are changing. As I said, that's generally speaking. If your student is going to go to an Ivy League school, it's going to look different than if they're going to go someplace else. And I don't, that sounds disparaging, and I don't mean that. But you should have an idea, the direction you want that your kid's going to go. But there's no reason to give calculus if your child is a dancer. Do enough math to fulfill the requirements to get into that dance school, and they can take it. So to reiterate, 4 years of English, 2 to 4 years of science, there has to be a lab, 2 to 4 years of math, 2 to 3 years of a social studies, and usually 2 years of a foreign language. And that's it. We just made ours up and put it on a spreadsheet on an Excel. So, but I happen to be kind of crazy about keeping records. So I just kind of did that. But thank you.
Thank you, Teresa, for that additional information. One thing that I found helpful was to buy a notebook, and I just popped everything in there that the kids did. I kept track of things like volunteer work. In the summertime, my kids would take like swim lessons and tennis lessons through parks and rec, and so I kept track of the time in that notebook. When they went on missions trips, I took note of the time and the things that they did if they were doing building or ministry work. So there's a lot of things that can go in there. If they take a gun safety course or do anything where they get some kind of certification, you can post that or pop that in your notebook. And it just, like Jill said, it's really important to keep good records, because by the time that January of their senior year comes around, it's really hard to remember what you did when they were freshmen and sophomores. So that's a really great tip. And we're going to move on to some other information for you briefly. So we will be back in just a second.